You're back with Get Connected. Mike and John here in studio. A lot of us are working from home now, and as such, you were probably doing a lot of video calls. Zoom would be a very popular program. Microsoft Teams. There's numerous ones out there, and so you need a webcam. And I tell people, get the best webcam that you can get. Typically the ones that are built into the laptops aren't that great.
Unless you have a Mac.
Unless you have a Mac, they're okay. But a lot of the Windows ones, they're kind of sucky. And so you want one that's capable of doing high def. You want to look good, right? Yeah. So have a good webcam, good lighting. But some people now are using their digital cameras, their DSLRs or SLRs. There's a lot of, hacks or software out there that will allow you to do that. And the dream there is that those are fantastic cameras. They've got great lenses. They're capable of punching out high-def video as well. So we want to explore what that takes and if it's all that it's cracked up to be. To help us, we've got our expert, Ted Kritsonos out of Toronto. Ted, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you guys. Thank you.
I wanted to get you on this. You've written a great article for us as well. You're a big camera guy, a photo buff, so you kind of know this stuff inside out. And it's kind of interesting, Ted. Before we go down this rabbit hole of using, your digital camera as a webcam, we actually were using a Sony digital camera. What model is this one?
This is the A6500. It's a little older camera,
but great lens.
Yeah.
Capable of high def video. So there's a hack for it that allows you to hook up your USB cable from this into your computer.
Well, it's not a hack. Sony actually released the software.
Sounds cooler if it's
okay.
Yeah, okay, it's a hack. Yeah. So we were using it to record this radio show because we do a video podcast version that we put up on our website, and you can also check it out on TELUS TV as well. But we were noticing the quality wasn't that great, like compared to the webcam we were using before.
Yeah, which we're using right now.
Yes.
So at first I thought, okay, this has got to be a Zoom thing.
Yeah.
Zoom has a new update every other day, it seems. And I try to keep up to date because sometimes features stop working and we have a lot of people that come on the show. We need to be having the latest version all the time. But then it was just defaulting to standard definition. This is a 4K camera.
Yeah.
The video looks great in 4K. It's broadcast worthy. But for whatever reason, the Sony imaging app and Zoom decided to not give us the full HD experience.
Yeah.
It gave us the standard definition experience.
So what did we determine? Why?
Well, I'm not 100% sure if it's Zoom or the Sony app itself. Basically what you do with this particular thing, and I'm trying not to steal all of Ted's thunder, but you take a piece of software, you install it on your computer, and then you need to make sure that you have the appropriate software firmware version on your camera as well. In some cases, you plug in a USB cable to your camera if you have one.
Yes.
And in this particular case, we have a micro USB port, and then we plug that into the computer, and then Zoom basically sees, hey, you've got a Sony camera. I'm going to use that as a camera source for Zoom.
Do you think so that's micro USB is the older standard. Do you think that's fast enough to get all the 4K video into your computer?
Well, we're not going to get 4K over Zoom anyways.
No.
But at least it should be HD.
Yeah.
And the other challenge that we also had is that when we set up to do these interviews all day, it actually depletes the battery faster than it's charging it. So I have to have extra batteries, and we have to make sure we check them before we do an interview so it doesn't die halfway through the interview.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And Ted and I were talking before this segment about the fact that maybe it's just a limitation of the throughput of the USB port as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of different variables, but let's get into the sort of the meat of Ted's.
Yeah. So Ted, we've got all these great cameras. Like,
Sure.
From your experience, how easy or difficult was it to make this happen?
Well, the software does a lot of the heavy lifting because it's supposed to enable the connection between the computer and the camera. So the camera is not doing much other than what the software is telling it to do. So that's why, whether it's Sony or Nikon or Canon or, or Fujifilm, they all created the software to try and make it easier for all this to work. So you just install the software, you make the connection, and you should be good to go. Now, some of the variables that John pointed out are some of those things that I think are harder for the average person to troubleshoot. Like, why all of a sudden should there not be HD video on Zoom? And we can't even tell. Is it a Zoom issue? Like, for us to figure it out, like we'd probably have to do a process of elimination to see if the same thing happens with Microsoft Teams or any other video software that people are generally using for meetings or whatever else. So I haven't tried it with Teams. I'm not sure. I have seen kind of the same issue John's talking about with Zoom. But then again, I understand that Zoom sometimes reduces the quality of the video stream because of, I don't know, it could be capacity, could be just to make sure that it doesn't cut out. I've heard various different things.
Well, I did ask Zoom tech support because we use a pro account, and they did say that because of COVID, if you have more than 3 people on the call, it'll automatically scale down to standard definition. It's a bandwidth saving thing, and we can't even buy our way into HD. It's just something they've done globally across the platform. So right now, there's 2 people on the call, Mike and I on one line, and then Ted on the other. So we're good. If we add a 3rd person, though, it's going to drop down to standard definition. So that was what they said was the problem. There used to be a setting that you could actually just check to enable HD recording as well in the Zoom software. That's disappeared because they put up this COVID message saying that they reduced bandwidth globally just to make things easier for everybody. But in our case, we're actually using it for distribution. So it's a problem.
So then the question at that point is Zoom arbitrarily just reducing the quality even on a one-to-one conversation when a camera like that's being used? Most webcams, as we know, are not 1080p. They're 720p, including the ones on Macs, which are very good. I mean, I'm using one right now. But the fact is that because the webcams are at 720p, it's easier for Zoom to handle those. It seems like, I mean, never mind 4K, that's obviously not happening. But at 1080p, it seems like there is some kind of, I don't want to say an issue, but there may be a data bottleneck. Like maybe there's just too much going on and Zoom can't handle it. And it's kind of like, okay, what do we choose? Do we go with, video cutting off, or do we just reduce the quality so that video can continue? And that way, meetings and chats.
I wish they would tell you. Do you know what I mean? Like a little notification comes up. Hey, we're throttling down because of bandwidth issues.
And Mike, to follow up on that, I actually wish the camera manufacturers would mention something too. Yeah. Because if Sony and Nikon, Canon, if they said, listen, use our camera for a webcam, it'll work out great, but just so you know, there may be a situation where you won't get the full quality that you're expecting for these reasons. It's not under our control, but that's what it is. And then with the battery thing, I think it's a micro USB issue. The throughput on micro USB is nowhere near what it is for USB-C. And it takes power to get video running, off the camera onto the computer. So I'm not surprised that the charging it at the same time is not going to be the same.
Well, that was another issue that I think might also be related, is that the camera gets really hot when you're doing this for a long period of time. It might have actually overheated more so than the battery being depleted too. So, because that's the thing, is these cameras aren't meant for being on and shooting live video
for hours
on end.
Well, the software limits it too. Yeah. So from what I last saw, it's a limit of about 30 minutes. Yeah. But if the camera gets too hot before that, then it may just shut off to protect itself, kind of like what smartphones do. Or I don't know, maybe it is a video. It'll just reduce the resolution to try and save some power as well. These are the sort of things that I think should be more obvious in the way that they explain it, but it is what it is.
So it sounds like a mixed bag. You can use your DSLR in most cases from the popular brands as a web camera, but some things to look out for are the battery drain, because it's going to drain the battery really quickly, and you might not always be getting the full video quality depending on what video calling or meeting software you're using. Ted, thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
You can check out Ted's article up on our website, getconnectedmedia.com. When we come back from the break, more tech to talk. Stay tuned.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. And you know that little bell icon? Hit that and you'll be notified every time we post a new video. And comment. The more comments and the more likes and subscriptions we get, the more videos we can make.